Hello, hello, hello. Hello, you guys, and welcome back. Thank you for joining me for this episode. This episode I'm actually calling first episode, which is 1.1 through a child's eyes. I want to say that I'm sorry for the slight delay in getting this one out, but I do have a very valid reason for so. I was planning a wedding, and that wedding happened to be my own. So yes, I've gotten married. So I am excited. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and launch this baby. Hello, and welcome back. Last episode, we left off asking questions like what drives someone to this kind of evil and what brings them to this point in their life to be the monsters they are. We also learned the signs and definitions of what domestic violence is and could be, as well as guide you to the help that is available and ensure you that you are not alone when dealing with this evil. We might not have the understanding of one's bad intentions or antics right now, but rest assured, we will not stop looking for those answers that could cause someone to turn into this titan. The brain of some people must be off with some kind of chemical imbalance for someone to have this much sadist in them. I have not yet done the research to see if the scientists have compiled some explanation for this behavior. It will be interesting to see if any have done so. Everyone has a story to tell or has lived, right? Some people's stories actually have turned into movies. Our life experiences have changed us in some dramatic way, one way or another, or perhaps molded us into a certain direction that made us who we are today. And I am no stranger or different to that. So, let's begin with mine. I am going to start out and begin with my story, leading you into the demise sufferings that I have endured in my life, as promised. As I move forward with telling the terrible things that I had experienced, you will also hear how most of my choices were not my own, and how I might have not known that then. But as you will hear and listen to the situations that I have fell victim to, you will get a closer look with an understanding of why I didn't have that chance to make those choices. I will brush you up on those things that I was subject to, as with how it was like for me to live under the same roof with my abuser, and how I was put into a fight or flight state of mind for most of my life. Allowing me to share them here with you leaves me vulnerable and very nervous, as well as anxious. I have not spoken about this for a very long time, or out loud to people I do not know. I have only spoken to therapists and certain people that I am close to. And to be honest, I'm not sure how it will affect me today as I do move along in this episode with this torturing part of my life. But because I am from a generation that had to figure it out on my own and drink from the garden hose because our parents would not allow us in the house, I'm the kind of girl who holds my feelings in as well as pretending it didn't bother me. I'm afraid this is what it's like walking on the dark side of the moon in my house. Walking you through my life is a struggle for me. I am not good with words, let alone describing the incidents that did take place. But I will do my best to recall or relive certain aspects of my young life. I am human, and I'm going to make mistakes. I am going to mispronounce words, or because I'm talking too fast, I am going to stumble over words. And I'm just letting you know because these are my own words. So I'm okay dealing with that, if you're okay dealing with that. This is raw, and this is true, and this is who I am. I'm an honest person. I'm open. I'm like a book. I don't hide anything. I guess it would be like old scars that are being ripped open, and the stale blood that drips into my ever so hard life would feel like fresh wounds as I narrate through the time again. I will not hold back and remind you how hard this really is. However, I will do my best to trail you along in the agony of my nightmares, as well as to keep my mind in a sound and focused mentality while telling myself I'm in a safe place, and that no matter what, my story may be able to help others. And in doing so, together can build a safer community of healing inside first from those wicked inflictions that have been imposed upon us. Let me first start off by saying again how thankful I am for you to come along with me through this journey while I open up to you all on this podcast. I am going to always recite this reminder, though, like a chorus in a song. This platform that I will be introducing is meant to be a safe place for the listeners and for those who engage. I want to state that immediately because your emotional state of mind, safety, trust, and security is my number one priority. Discretion is advised. I do not recommend this for those who are under the age of 12. This kind of evil is sensitive and triggering. Moments that are shared here have the tendency to be recaptured or relived, which could be upsetting. Therefore, it is not recommended for younger listeners. Let's jump in here with me, starting off with giving you a visual of my beginnings to the best of my knowledge as we enter into the mindset of this chapter. I am the 6th youngest from the top and the 5th youngest from the bottom. Also, I am the 4th youngest girl in a family of 10 siblings. Living in a 4-bedroom brick house with the top part of the house being painted like an earthly green in flowers that surround this old home. On the inside of the house, as you walk in the side door, you walk into a 4-step staircase, which leads you into the kitchen. But before you enter up into the kitchen, the basement was straightforward and down, which holds the laundry room on the right side, which I remember being long and wide, and with a huge sump pump. I've never seen a sump pump that big, and I still, to this day, have not. But before you even walk down to the basement, it's split in the middle by a foyer. Dividing the space on the right side is the laundry room as described, with the washer and dryer and clothes. My parents had clotheslines hanging down there because there's 10 children, and living where we lived, it's cold most of the time. So having 10 kids, you didn't want the dryer constantly running. So that's where that room was. And then to the left is a huge room, which my parents made into a theater/play place for the family, while my dad's office is to the left of that same space with a locked door. My parents would hold UFO convention meetings, and people from all over the world would come. So in that theater, my parents would play like movies of UFOs, or wherever my parents had traveled to, the pictures that they have taken and the things that they have seen, they would show, on the screen to other people. And I guess these people were very important as well. And they came and they saw, but my parents would send us children out. They would send us out of there before anyone would arrive, as we were not allowed in or to be around, probably to keep us safe from strangers. I guess they were looking out for us then, probably so that me and my younger siblings also would not be frightened or scared from the images or sounds that we have heard. Anyway, up from the basement stairs, you would first then walk into the kitchen, as I mentioned before. Then down the hallway a bit. Well, as you walked out of the kitchen and then down the hallway a bit, you would see the bathroom to the right, and that is the main bathroom. There was one in the basement, but if you were to use that, you had to have been working outside or been working on a car or any kind of, thing that you would be all messy in, that you wouldn't be trekking that crap into the main house. So you would have to use that bathroom. That's what that bathroom was mainly used for. But continuing on down the hall, which I make it sound like it's so long, but it's not. To me, it seemed like it was like a huge house because I was so little. But now that I see it now, it's not. It's so tiny. It's so tiny. And now it's a 2-bedroom, I guess. So I don't know what they did to change it to a 2-bedroom. And how my parents fit all of us in there is, I have no idea. But as you continue down the hall, to the left would be my parents' room. And then just to the left of that would be my brother's room. And all 3 of my brothers shared that room. And then when you came back up the hallway, the living room would be on the right, and that would be across from the kitchen. And then the girls were on the 2nd floor. So there was like 2.5 bedrooms up there. And so my bedroom was to the very end of the hall. My oldest sister's room was in the middle. Not really sure what that half bedroom was used for, because I don't remember anyone really sleeping in there because there were no windows. So that's where the girls were. They were on the 2nd floor, as my parents and my brothers were on the main floor. The boys were in no means allowed to be on the 2nd floor, and if they were, they would get into so much trouble. And yes, we all had to share the main bathroom to answer any questions about that if they do arise. And we did fight to see who got there first. Sometimes it was a race. So sometimes it was fun. Sometimes it was a little bit miserable. The house was on a dead-end road in New York, and the time period was the 70s and early 80s. The neighborhood had plenty of other children for all of us to play with, as we were all very close in age. Some of the kids in the neighborhood would fight over whose best friend they were, or whose best friends we were. So they wanted us to be like everybody's best friend. And they're like, oh no, they're my best friend. Oh no, they're my best friend. We were quite the pick for everyone. And we all got along pretty well too. It was so much fun during that time because we played tag, and then we played dodgeball, 4 corners, hide and go seek. And you had to be home before this. When you saw the street lights go on, you had to be in the house, and the other kids had to be home. So when those lights came on, you made sure you were in the house. We had no shortage of friends in that area, and there were plenty of things for us to do. We always kept ourselves busy when we weren't in school. We all had our favorites and, of course, our dislikes. Growing up in that era was a gift. Still, though, very young, not understanding how the world works, you're going to find out that this girl is about to experience life in such a way that no child on earth should endure. Hi, my name is JJE, and this is my podcast, Driven by Evil. Now, surrounded by love and so much family, you would think that this family was ever so lucky to have each other, let alone have someone to play with, or even to lean on. Not that they didn't, but things in this family are not what they seem. Behind closed doors, when the lights go out and mom goes off to work, the unknowing nightmares begin. As I am asleep, tucked away in my bed, all warm and cozy, I feel something or someone trying to wake me. I open my eyes and I'm kind of like peeking out. And as I try to open my sleepy eyes and focus on who it might be, I quickly realize it's my dad. I have no idea why he would wake me up. But I get up. I asked where my mother was, and he said she's at work. Now, my mother worked in a diner that was open 24/7, cooking and serving those who had to be at work or was coming home from work. It's, where she was cooking 2 meals at once, breakfast and dinner. How often do people do that? That diner was very popular too back in the day. I only got to visit maybe a couple times when I was little because it was so late and I had to be in bed. So if I wasn't feeling good, my dad would take me there so my mom can keep an eye on me, but it wasn't very often. I was very young, probably no older than 4 years old. I just remember I was not in school yet. As I woke up, he said, "Come with me downstairs and then the basement to my office so we don't wake anyone." So I unravel from the blankets and he helps pull the blankets off of me. And then I put my feet on the cool floor and follow my dad as we proceeded to the stairs that led to the middle of the house, then following down to the basement where he opens his office and turns on the light. And then he starts to begin scuffling around for something. Not quite sure, as I'm still sleepy and trying to grasp why my heart is beating so fast and why am I being brought down to the basement in the middle of the night. My dad turns to me and says, "We're going to play a game," and tells me to turn around so he can put the blindfold on me. I guess that's what he was shuffling for, to find. Still confused and tired, I just comply. "Okay." "There," he says. "Is that too tight?" I said, "No." He goes, "Can you see anything?" "No, I can't." And then I ask again, "When's my mother coming home?" He said she'll be home in the morning. "Oh, okay. Well, honey," he says, "I'm going to place you on the workbench. I am going to lay you out on the bench and lay you down." And for those of you who don't know what a workout bench is, it's exercising equipment, and it's a bench that, you lay down and you're lifting weights. It's that kind of a bench. It's not very big. You can't really be, I could probably sleep on it then because I was tiny, but as an adult, you can't, there's no way of getting comfortable on that thing. I'm not sure why he was laying me down because I was already in bed sleeping. So then to bring me down, wake me up, and then to bring me down just to put me back to sleep didn't make any sense to me, even at 4 years old. He turns and says that it's part of the game. And I'm like, "Oh." And then he starts with the game, and I don't really recall what it was. So he went on with it. And then he says that he needs to take off my panties. And then he pulls up my pajamas and inches them down and just takes them right off. Then he starts rubbing my legs. And then slowly starts up my body. And I sit up straight really fast with such great intensity, as I don't really like what's happening and I don't like how it feels. And I'm not really sure what the heck is happening. I just remember I was super scared and I just didn't understand being woken up, all of that all happening at the same time so fast was so confusing. And then he's just touching me and putting his hands in places he shouldn't put his hands. And he sits me up and then he tries to readjust me as I'm trying to fight him off. And he then lays me back down and says to me, "You just need to stay put. Don't move." I start to cry. And then he begins to move higher up on my legs. And then he starts moving up quickly because I'm crying. So whatever his intention is, I guess he's just trying to finish it off. I don't freaking know. But then I realize he's going to my vagina and starting over there and doing whatever. I start to squirm and say, "Daddy, no." I told him it hurts and I don't like this game. And he assures me that it is okay and it's all right and it won't take long. As he continues to rape me, I start crying hysterically and begging him please to stop. I feel my body start to shake. And I assume I'm going into shock. Maybe that is why I'm shaking. He then gives me something to quiet me down because I'm very hysterical at this point. And he doesn't want me to wake anyone. I try really hard to push him off of me, but finally, he stops and then tells me to quiet down, to stop crying. He then proceeds to say, "You can't tell anyone. And if you do, I'm just going to tell him that you lied, and I'm going to punish you for that lie. And if you do say a word to anyone, I'm going to kill your mother." I had no idea what kill your mother even meant, let alone what just fucking happened. I had no idea what to do, so I just sat there and cried. And then he led me into the bathroom where he showered me, dressed me, walked me back to my room, and then put me back into bed and said to me, "Tell no one. Close your eyes and go to sleep." I could barely sleep. I was hurting so bad. The next day, I was in so much pain and sick to my stomach. I could hardly move. I was shaking so bad still. I just sat there like a zombie. I didn't want anything to eat or drink when offered. I just sat there crying. And no one checked on me except my sister. When she came over to me, she wanted me to play, so I assumed to get my mind off of things, I guess. I don't know. Maybe she knew what was going on. I don't know. And she kept saying to me, "It's okay. I'm here. I'm here." And she sat with me the entire time as I cried and held my hand. She was just only a year older than me. I didn't understand what happened or why it did. I was just sitting in a state of shock. Shit, I didn't even know how to tie my own shoes yet. This put me into a catatonic state. This was the first encounter in how the rest of my childhood went. Learning was difficult for me, and getting close to others was something I wanted nothing to do with. The only people I trusted was my mother and my sister. Everyone else I hid from. And when I say I hid, that's exactly what I did. I would go into my closet all the time because in my closet I felt safe because I had a box in there that I filled with clothes and toys. And I would bury myself underneath all of that stuff, so no one could find me to ever hurt me again. I would fall asleep in there and no one would ever find me. I don't think anyone ever came looking for me. With 10 kids, why would you? We're all hard to keep track of already. I never wanted to be alone with my dad. And as the months went on, I started to notice my sister didn't either. Now, I never told anyone what happened. How could I? He told me that he would kill my mother, and no one would believe me. But I was always scared he would come and wake me again. So I started sleeping next to my sister, as we both shared a room anyway. One day, as we were in our room playing, my sister says out loud and out of the blue, "I know why you were crying before," she said. And I looked at her like in shock, like, no, we're not talking about this. No. I was just very scared. And she said, "Maybe." But then proceeds to say, "I know Daddy hurt you." I looked at her with such fear in my eyes. My eyes were like wide open and huge, and I just stared at her in a dead stare. And then I said to her, "Please, please, please don't say anything to anyone." And she said, "I wouldn't." And she goes, "I have a secret." And that's when she told me that it happened to her too. We both just sat there in silence. Then I said, "Please don't ever let me be alone with him. I never want to be by myself with him again." And she agreed and said, "I don't ever want to be alone with him either. So we have to make a pact with each other to always be next to each other when he's around and always follow each other wherever we go if he's coming with us." And we both agreed and nodded in a yes motion. We then continued playing in our room and asked if we could go outside. We then ran down the stairs and out the side door to play in the backyard on the swing, like nothing ever happened. We are very close to this very day, and our scars and our secrets are why we are so close. Nothing will ever sever our bond, as we know we will have each other's backs forever. This now brings me to the end of this episode, as this is a lot harder than imagined to talk about, and I need to pull myself away and out of this dark space right now. I need to remind myself that this is over, and I'm safe, and it is okay to discuss this together. This is only one incident that started a multitude of sins on my dad's part and the beginning of many more that continued on for years with me and my sisters. I want you to know and remember that this is an informative podcast, that this is a door where we can come together to support each other and give help to where help is needed. This podcast is also a door that is open to change and possibilities when moving forward. I want to take this time and thank you so very, very much for spending time with me and listening. And once again, I would like to invite you to the next listen. Until then, enjoy your day, evening, or midday, whichever you may be listening in. A self-care tip of the day is loyal. Stay loyal to yourself and the areas in your life that are needed. Spend a little more love and attention and time working on yourself first, and give yourself the love and care you need before giving it away to someone else. Never give up, and pull yourself up and dust yourself off. You're not alone in this. I also want to say thank you again for taking the time to listen to me, and I want you to know that I do have a Facebook page where you could message me. Now, the Facebook page, there's a couple of them out there that is called Driven by Evil. They are some of the pages that we opened, but we lost all the passwords by moving, and in the move we've lost them. So we created another one, which I need to open so I could tell you what it is. And it is the @ and then it's Driven, DRIVEN. Wait, I want to make sure I spell that right. Hold on. I want to take a good look before I tell you. Okay, it's the @ then Driven, DRIVEN by BY EVIL, EVIL 2024. You can message me on there, or, you can post on there. I will accept your request as long as it follows all the protocols and it's safe for everyone. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at as long as it's safe for everyone. I will be doing a Instagram one also, which I have not done yet. But until then, my friends, stay safe, help each other. Until then.